You can't.
Welcome, everyone, to What the Fiction. I'm Marie-Claire Gould, your host.
And hi, I'm Robin, the heart of High Tea Loki.
Yeah, absolutely. This is our show, High Tea Loki, where we drink tea and talk about Loki. And today we have opted for something different, just like this episode, iced chai tea lattes. And for those that don't know, we live in Canada, and so we are both very cold.
And in our basement.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's colder.
Where we record. And yeah, it's just easier for me because I have Invisaligns now and I can drink this with a straw. Delicious.
As always, you're welcome to join us with whatever,
Bevy of choice.
I'm having maple cookies. My mom's having nothing.
Yeah, this is just easier for me. It's been a rough, because I have to take them out to have hot beverages, and it was a choice, and then this is a break week for me.
Yes.
All right. On to this episode. On to the actual episode, Heart of the TVA. This episode we both really loved.
Oh, I loved it so much. I have so many thoughts. Honestly, this episode, in my opinion, is the best one yet. It's super fast paced. It's really, really tense.
Mm-hmm.
And it has such a good parallel to the first episode.
Yeah. It's like they're part one, part two.
It
almost.
Really is. Yeah. But
yeah.
We got exposition in the middle.
Yeah. Explaining everything. We got 2 episodes in the middle of this kind of two-parter, which is such an interesting way to show time as a show.
Yeah. It's a very interesting show.
Our overview and themes. Time is a circle. This is actually literally pointed out by people in the episode. Power to the workers. I noticed this one as well, Robin, but
there's a lot of people who are Mobius, B-15, Loki. We noticed that in the second episode, Breaking Brad, they're always Brad's none of you have the authority to be doing this. And that's a reoccurring thing. Everyone tells B-15 that she does not have the authority to be where she is doing and do what she's doing. But B-15 and Mobius and Loki and, these people who you would consider less powerful in the TVA hierarchy are doing the most for change and for
and that is that a lot of the time institutions, and we're going to get to that in a second, try to make individual people feel like they're powerless, but people working together are often very powerful. It's the power of unions and the power of governments in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people coming together, believing in a social contract or an agreement between people to make things better for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The plot is weaving like a loom. Yes, it absolutely is. It's going in and out, and we're pulling on threads from the first episode and also sort of from the first season too.
Mm-hmm. This episode is really interesting though, because I think more than the other ones, it has at least 4 different plots that are all interweaving. Mm-hmm. We've got Victor Timely, we've got Renslayer, we've got B-15, we've got
Dox and Brad, and
their weird relationship, and Loki and Mobius, and Loki and Sylvie. We've got all of these plots, and they're interweaving like the loom, and they're getting put through the loom into one strand to make the episode. And I think that's interesting. Maybe it's intentional. I don't know.
I mean, probably this writing team is very, very smart. And then corrupt institutions and how to fix them. There's definitely an overall meta conversation about how everything is terrible. And like there's a lot of terribleness happening in the world right now. We can all see it.
Oh, yep.
But how do you get past that? Well, you try, you hope.
Yeah.
And it takes everybody working towards it.
There's a lot of like, and you know, the TVA is kind of a metaphor for a corrupt institution, and the people, the workers, are trying to fix it. And it's really hard. And Sylvie constantly is like, but it's so much easier just to burn it down.
Yeah.
And Loki and Sylvie have such a good scene about that.
Yeah. I'm so excited to talk to you about that one.
Yeah.
It is very much power to the people.
Man.
Kind of
Also,
idea.
Sylvie's mullet looks so good this episode.
Yeah. You're really into the mullet. Have you considered a mullet?
I don't think I would look good in a mullet. I just think that I think it's a fun fashion choice.
I think it goes with like her 1980s aesthetic that she was going for, but yeah.
Also, you know, I just last costume thought that I randomly had was Mobius actually wears a skinny tie because he's a people pleaser and always trying to make himself smaller.
Oh.
And that's that. But yeah. I'm like really excited for next week, and I think that
I mean, it'll be the lead up to the end, and we don't know. We like where this episode left off. We don't know what's gonna happen next. There's no indications of anything other than
this episode's so quotable. Like I'm wondering what you're gonna title this, because it's like,
oh, I always use the title of the episode. Oh. I'm boring. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but like if you were trying to title it based on a quote, that would be hard because it's such a quotable.
We are
episode.
gods. All right. The episode starts out with the timelines and the end of time with Miss Minutes and Renslayer. Miss Minutes.
The intro this time is different, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, it
becomes the loom.
Sounded like all of the timelines. Like I couldn't pause it or I couldn't figure out exactly what was being said, but I'm sure somebody out there has paused it or grabbed the audio and detangled it enough to figure out. But I just thought it was like the sound of the timelines, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
And Miss Minutes and Renslayer agreeing to work together. It's really interesting that they're on either side. They're kind of like his left and his right hand of He Who Remains.
Of the clock?
No. Like Renslayer and
I
Miss
know what
Minutes.
you're talking about. I just thought it would be funny to say that it was a clock.
Miss Minutes and Renslayer were like his right and left hand. Yeah. Like his things that did the things for the TVA. Like Miss Minutes ran all the administration and Renslayer enacted his will within the TVA, even though she wasn't aware because she had her mind wiped.
But yeah,
and we got this pantomime little hologram of what had happened with He Who Remains and Renslayer, and we get the audio of the recording of Renslayer and He Who Remains from the first episode of Loki. So again, we're coming back to the beginning again. It's like the end and the beginning. The beginning is the end. All of that.
I'm really happy that our I feel like my suspicions were confirmed. I had been kind of assuming that she was working with him and then her memory got erased.
Yeah.
Which I think just means that the foreshadowing has been really
I don't
good.
think she's going to end up being a Kang in the end. I'm disappointed, but the essence of them working together being the solution that they like balanced each other out, and that's what
maybe she could be a Kang. I still think that it could happen. Like, because he wanted no other Kangs to be involved.
Yeah.
Like, putting her in the TVA, erasing her memory, she could be a Kang.
Either way, like, the partnership aspect is the solution rather than, like... And I think we'll see that, like, when we talk about the end of the episode in our, like, speculation for the future.
They're so interesting, though, because, you know, like a true evil guy, He Who Remains has actually been using the power of the women around him, the power of the people around him, to further himself and then kicking them all away at the end.
Yeah, and this is a common theme in stories that are built under patriarchy, is that there's an aspect of using the power of the feminine for control of others.
How rude.
I know, right? And he uses Protocol 42, which do you know what 42, why 42 is significant?
It's an asterisk in coding, right?
I didn't know that.
Well, we talked about this during our Spider-Verse stuff. Because 42 is an asterisk in coding, which is basically what you use whenever you, like, it's whatever you want it to be, basically. And 42 is the meaning of the universe according to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes.
Which is what
it
means whatever you want it to.
It's the answer to the life, universe, and everything is 42. Yeah. And it is Miles Morales' spider that bit him was named number 42, and that's why the asterisk. Yeah. So cool.
I'm aware.
It's just interesting that they're pulling this out. We don't really know what else it could mean other than like a reset, right?
Yeah.
But I do like the asterisk idea. That's it would be interesting to go through the MCU and be like, how many times does 42 show up?
Probably a lot. I mean, it's kind of a geeky coding thing.
And then, the end of the conversation with Miss Minutes and Renslayer is, we don't need him. Maybe we never did. Which is really cool.
I think I should hashtag feminism out loud.
Is that the kind of feminism we want?
Not really, but like I thought it was really funny.
Victor Timely shows up at the TVA and sees his face on the wall.
Oh man, Victor Timely and the constant reminders of who he could be / was.
It's really interesting. Like, could you imagine yourself being presented with all of the possibilities of what you could have potentially been and weren't?
And also what people have the expectation that you will be.
Yeah.
It's super interesting.
It gives you a lot to actually think about, like, just outside of your life, like to say, everybody has their own view of your experience. Ooh. Like, are you living up to the expectations of others? And that comes out in this episode as well, which
Victor's
is really
whole
interesting.
Thing is, like, he literally pleads with Sylvie. He says, like, I'm not that guy. I can make my own choices. But, can he? Will he?
Yeah.
Or is this all,
preordained?
Will the imagery that he sees, like the faces and then later the murals, like, will it motivate him to make different choices like he said he would? Or, is this the plan that was happening all along? Is
lean into it?
Is Victor's story just the plan? Because we don't know what the plan was.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah.
We know that it existed and that so far he's actually been on the plan, basically.
Yeah, we don't know. So Timely like leaves the boardroom and sees the mural of all of the timekeepers and is approached by Loki and Mobius B-15, and Sylvie's there. Sylvie's there. She's like, I'm just showing up because I believe.
She's like, I don't want to be here, but I'm here.
I'm here. I care enough to be here. And this is the start of her transformation from sort of being a snow queen, very stuck in her own world, to caring about the larger universe and taking on that king archetype, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about.
I read your notes
later on. Yeah.
Victor Timely is like, but that's not as reassuring as you think it's going to be, I live in the shadiocracy capital of the world. Chicago.
Yeah.
And I learned not to trust anyone. Apparently, shadiocracy is not a real word.
No, I'm wondering if it's more like, because it doesn't quite sound like Schadenfreude to me.
Yeah, which is what was assumed on several news sites.
Yeah, it kind of to me, based on the fact that I've been thinking about it since you asked me last night, sounds like shyster, like I'm pulling one over on you, or I'm a shyster. So it's shysterocracy. So everybody lies to everybody else.
It has the sha, like
yeah,
and schade, like Schadenfreude. So I think it definitely could be Schadenfreude, which implies that Victor's opinions of Chicagoans is that they find joy in the plight of others, which I think it's more like being a shyster, like taking advantage of other people. Either way, they find joy in the plight of others.
I guess so, yes. B15 is approached by the judge, and B15, this is our power to the people idea. Woo! Like, we have this judge who's like literally like, B15, you need to make decisions.
I mean, she literally asked B15 to sit with her, like be on the same level as her.
Yeah. And you know, the struggle of where the TVA is at, all of the faith in the institutions has been burst. And so they need new ideas, and who better to come up with the ideas than the people who are on the front lines? That's the sort of idea that we're getting out of this.
I love that they're talking about General Docs. And they're like, General Docs, like, she's not evil, you know? She's motivated by her 100% absolute care for the TVA. And her, like, that care has just been really swayed towards the methodologies they were using in the past to protect it. And I think that that's really poignant for a lot of, like, real world examples of people in power who, like, they're not bad because they care about the institution. Like, they're just trapped up in tradition, I guess.
Tradition, or they've put focus on one particular aspect of their belief structure over others. For the most part, unless somebody has some sort of psychopathy, people generally try to do what's right for others. And it's hard, though, when people come to the table with a variety of experience and priorities. And that's where we're kind of stuck.
But that quote, don't be so sure of that, your words changed me, was really good.
Yeah, so it was really good. I love this scene. This was really great.
Power to B15.
Power to B15. So we have timely meeting Ouroboros. I love this moment so
fanboys
much. It was a mutual admiration society. Ouroboros admits that most of his work is based on Timely's work, and Mobius and Loki point out that Timely's work is based on Ouroboros's work. So it's like, what is going on? And we have the excellent line of, it's like a snake eating its own tail, which is an Ouroboros. So time is a circle. It's also sort of like the idea that there is no beginning and no end, and there is no, even if you say, hey, there's free will, there isn't actually. It's hard to wrap your brain around, and they do it really, really well. I loved Sylvie's line, sorry to break up this bromance, but can we fix now and sign later? Yeah, it's so good. And like, now and later being like, she wants to fix now and then worry about later. Yeah. So good. But I love that they want each other's inscriptions. That's but it turns out that Ouroboros can't get Timely's inscription.
No.
So like, there's something about this episode that I didn't want to put in the overview because I struggle with it still, like describing it, but time is like wasted in this episode. Like they're like going for pie, they're signing inscriptions,
they're getting hot cocoa,
they're getting like, and they're like having a very important in-depth character conversations, but it feels like nobody cares. And at one point, Sylvie like loses her
shit.
Yeah, exactly. She loses it over this, but nobody can get things going fast enough, and they are running out of time. And it was like, as they are running out of time, things seem to slow down, which I don't know how to think. I don't know what that means.
There's a lot of like, it builds tension really effectively because you're just sitting there like, please,
like, come on, get going,
please,
rush, like do something, and they're like just like tinkering with their little things and like getting cocoa and like, I just don't know.
It's a fair thing to say, I think.
So they show the plan, which is to show the loom. I love that the loom itself has a not to scale, and he's like embarrassed to show it to Timely. He's like, I'm honestly embarrassed for Timely to see this. But the plan involves whoever goes out there has to press a green button to expand the universe. And green is such an important color in Loki. It is Loki's color. So this green button to expand the universe is entire, like from a meta perspective, is Loki. He is the one who's supposed to press the green button. And that's his first instinct when they get to
and then he doesn't
do it. And even Mobius is like, it's your turn to take this on. So there's this call.
Mobius saying that really made me angry, but
well, there's this call to action, right? There's this call to take on the call of like the responsibility. And Loki almost gets there. He almost like is like, yes, it is my responsibility. But I think the piece that is mixing is that it needs to be Loki and Sylvie together, taking the call to action together, holding hands as a unit, right? Yeah.
Okay.
And then
the pie comment.
Yeah. And then so they're like, okay, we'll work on this thing. Timely's like, I'll help you with the pieces to get the loom expander going. And they're like, okay, well, all we got to do is let's have a little pie while we wait. And
I think,
oh man,
I have a whole thing about this, Mom. Can I go off?
Yes, you can go off.
Oh man, Sylvie goes to town on Mobius for this pie comment. I think the pie comment in the first place comes from Mobius's search for a little bit of normalcy, a little bit of comfort in the stressful time.
Yeah.
Which is fair. It's a fair thing to want, but it is a waste of time. Sylvie notices that. And, she like personally attacks him.
Yeah, she's like, the branches are dying. Clocks don't tick in the TVA.
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand.
And I think that the real root of it is that it's easy to place distance between yourself and horrific events when you aren't emotionally attached to them.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's a super big thing. And Mobius has been criticized for this several times now, putting too much distance between himself. Like, he was criticized, like, softly by Loki, by Brad, by Sylvie. Like, all of these people who are very involved, very emotionally invested, like, are being like, Mobius, you don't care. And you can pretend like you do care, but you're not in it. Mm-hmm. And so you don't get to, like, comment. Sylvie's accusing Mobius of being, like, scared, of being uncomfortable with finding his place on the timeline, which is just an elaboration on, like, what Loki was saying about him, like, with him in the automat. He's like, you haven't looked, you're like scared of it. And he's like, I just don't want it to be good. Like, if it's good, I can't live with that, And
I think that this is like where Mobius is actually taking on that Snow Queen crown, because he's trying to just protect the simple things that he knows, and where Sylvie is pushing from queen to king, because the big change in that archetype where you end up taking on leadership and responsibility for the whole kingdom or the whole universe and timelines, is that you move from reactive to proactive, facing the destruction head on. the queen is about protecting the family that they have built. The king is protecting everything.
Yeah.
And so this is, in my opinion, this is saying like Loki and Sylvie will step into being kings as archetypes, leaders in this together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like to elaborate on like the Snow Queen stuff. Like Mobius is scared to get attached to things, like leaving his comfortable place at the office to find out if he had a good life on the timeline. Found out if
he got to ride jet skis every day.
Find out if he had an ultimate cosmic purpose before he daydreamed about jet skiing. Even his like jet ski stuff is passive. He is a passive little man. He's passive and idle. He doesn't want to go out and do it. Even when, you know, asked by which, I don't remember which officer it was, but somebody's like, Mobius, like, what's this? Like,
it was B5.
Yeah.
So it was Brad.
What's this?
Yeah.
You mean X5? And, you know, he doesn't want to go out and do it.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to go out and, like, actually go jet skiing. He's just interested in it passively. And, like, that passivity aggravates Sylvie. Because she hates the, like, passive, people-pleasing, oh, I'm scared. Because she sees that as weak. She sees it as, you know, unproductive.
Yeah.
Which, when you're trying to change a corrupt institution, you cannot be weak. You cannot be people-pleasing. You cannot be passive. And, like, there is strength in being meek. There is strength in being merciful. And I think when Mobius figures himself out, he will be the type of person who's strong within mercy and within, you know, meekness. Not to be too biblical.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, he's different than Loki and Sylvie.
He's built different, yeah.
He's like a different kind of guy. He's a softer man. But, like, that, like, fear of finding anything out, of changing how his, you know, soft office life is, just Sylvie's like, oh, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you for that, bud.
It's so funny.
Oh, but and then in the scene, like, Loki stands in between Mobius and Sylvie, who are in frame, but Loki's like blurred out. Which really shows that he's unable to decide who to side with, because he's so emotionally invested in both of these people.
Yeah.
Like, until he ultimately follows Sylvie to go talk to her and, like, try to fight for Mobius and also reason with Sylvie.
Well, I think he just wants Sylvie to join him where he's at. I don't think, like, he doesn't have time to talk to Mobius in this episode. And
no, he doesn't.
Pull him out of being passive.
They're so off key still, which is really upsetting.
They're out of sync. Yeah.
They really are. And, like, I think the minute that Loki is in sync with Mobius, is on the same, you know, level as Sylvie, like, that's when true equilibrium between my trio can be reached.
Yes. We have this great scenes with Brad and the prisoner, like, hold, and
Brad
B15.
and Doc's weird relationship.
Oh, it's so weird.
It's so weird.
Like, and honestly, I felt like these scenes themselves were probably the weakest of the episode, because it didn't feel like at the end of the episode they had any weight, because Brad made opposite decisions. Doc's died. B15's, like,
Doc's death was so
well, and all the other, like,
the only thing about the scene,
timekeepers.
The only thing that I felt like was really strong about this was B15.
Yeah, like, she was great, but, like, what her whole speech and the whole lead up with the judge, like, felt like it didn't mean anything in the end. And I mean, but that's kind of the whole episode. So I'm struggling with it a little bit, but in the end,
it doesn't mean anything.
Nothing means anything. It's, like, super existential and nihilistic, and I'm
Yeah.
yeah.
You're like, not my comfort media.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why am I watching this if nothing means anything? Oh, it's only episode 4. It's fine. But you know what I'm saying? Like, so I loved B15's speech. I loved Doc's turning around and being like, yeah, I'm convinced. But like the fact that everything ends up kind of in dust really bothers me.
You can't sit with your pain, can you?
And okay.
They're in the automat, the place of conversation.
Oh yeah, and the place of conversation. I do have a couple of things I need to point out about this. First, of course, Miss Minutes is messing with everybody's temp pads, and that's kind of developing. But it's another slowdown. Things are slowing down as they get closer to this sort of due date or due time.
Expiration
date. Yeah. Every single pie in this automat is key lime pie.
Oh.
Every single pie. So the bright green pie, every single pie is bright green. So this is like Loki and Sylvie.
Yeah.
in a place.
They're confronting their feelings in this bright cyan room.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, Loki and her kind of like picking at each other for the start of the conversation. He's like, you ran away. I offered. And she's like, I'm here now. Like, you know, and he goes into the conversation about Thor and how he didn't understand the transformation he came through when he went to Earth, and he thought he had become weak, and I mocked him and said he had gone soft. I
love that Loki's like using his past experiences to try to help other people.
Yeah.
I really just feel like it's showing how much he's grown.
Oh, yeah.
How much the TVA has helped him grow.
Soft gets you killed, Sylvie says. But like mercy is a strength. It really is. And that's shown through all of these episodes. So I'm wondering if there's going to be something about that as the final solution for what is happening in the TVA.
Mm.
And Sylvie's like, it's just easier if you burn everything down.
Like Sylvie has even become a bit more merciful. Doesn't kill Renslayer.
Yeah.
Doesn't kill Timely.
Yeah.
Instead, you know.
And he's trying to comfort her with the fact that this is a change for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Burn it down. Easy. Annihilation is easy. Burn it down. Annihilation is easy. Raising things to the ground is easy. Like he's speaking from very much a place of authority and his own experience. Trying to fix what is broken is hard. Hope is hard.
How do we deal with a corrupt organization / institution?
Yeah. And things are changed now. You know, for better or worse, the timelines are free, and it's up to us to protect them. This is the moment. So this is the key, okay? So when I talk about the king archetype and taking on that leadership responsibility, he is owning the fact that the decisions that he and Sylvie made have consequences, and now he has to be responsible for those things. And that is key to us as humans as well. Like when we make decisions, when we're ready to be responsible for those around us, as well as the society that we live in, we ourselves enter into this king archetype phase. And when we grow to a place where we want to help others and are like the whole world, that's what we have to take on. We have to take that responsibility. Who else is going to do it but us?
I have a few other thoughts.
Sure.
So yeah, I love your character analysis. It's good. But back to the theme of like corrupt institutions and such.
Mm-hmm.
The TVA is objectively corrupt. And it's a functional metaphor for a government or institution controlling many people.
Yep.
And like destroying a corrupt force is always easier than trying to rebuild it, but it's not always the better choice. Like, and the trying to fix what's broken line is hard. It's such a good quotable line. Not just the broken and corrupt institution, but it's like about ourselves. Like, we're trying to fix ourselves too, and we're trying to fix our corrupt interpersonal relationships and also an institution at the same time.
Yeah.
Is really, really hard, but we have to have hope. Even if it feels impossible. It's just, yeah.
So, do you know how you get to the point that you can fix the corrupt institutions in the world around you?
I have a feeling I know where you're going with this, but continue.
You work on yourself.
Oh, look at what they're doing.
Yeah, no. So you work on yourself, and you'll find the key to helping others within yourself, and you bring that out to others.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key. And that realization comes when Sylvie says, well, it sounds like you're trying to play God. We're trying to play God. And it is 12 seconds between when she says, sounds like we're trying to play God. I recorded it. And it's 12 seconds. And he steps and he takes 4 steps up to her and sighs, the biggest sigh. We are gods.
Yeah.
And this is the key moment when you realize that you have the power within you to protect others, and you have this responsibility and you have to take it. You have to, because you are the one who was given the power. So you have to do it.
I remember when we were having this conversation earlier, like, with Dad and everything, and he was like, I think that it's done so brilliantly because every single person within at least 6 seconds is going to be like, you guys are gods. What?
Yeah. And maybe like a variety. Wait, aren't they gods? Like, what? They are gods. Yeah. Like yelling at the screen.
Like,
and
what?
that is excellent writing because it makes the audience smart, like feel smart, right? Like, hey,
we're also emotionally involved.
And we're also in the conversation. This is a brilliant scene.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely brilliant. In its green.
My jaw dropped when he said we are gods.
It was
wow,
perfect.
I'm so smart.
It was so perfect. Congratulations to the writing team. This is like peak Loki.
You didn't do writing shout outs.
I didn't this go around. No, I didn't. Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
Good job, writers, whoever you are.
Good job, writers. I didn't look you up. Sorry.
LOL.
Oh no.
We get this really cool camera angle as they're exiting the automat after having their very in-depth conversation. And, Loki exits and then Sylvie exits. And it's this like up angle where we're like looking up at them. And that's typically used in film and TV to display power, or like somebody's in a power position.
They're
gods.
You're meant
to look up to them. And I think after that line, "We are gods" was such a good choice to have them like we're like back and then they come closer to us.
And they look
and we're,
larger
like,
than
slightly,
life.
Yeah.
Awesome. We have Miss Minutes and Renslayer who are approaching the prisoners. The only one who kind of takes the bait is, of course, Brad, who agrees to help them. The rest, including Docs, die. And look at that psychopath, Miss Minutes. She's
crazy.
So into it. Like, she's excited about killing all of these people. And Brad is uncomfortable. Which shows still his like little shred of humanity.
I love you, Brad.
Miss Minutes is horrifying.
She is awful.
It is a great choice to give an animated character like all of this horror. It's great. And she actually goes full horror momentarily later on in the episode.
Her voice actor's so good too.
Mm-hmm.
The southern accent is really unsettling.
Absolutely. They're the trio in the basement, Ouroboros, Casey, and Timely, are making progress with it. But again, this feels slow.
Mom.
Yeah?
I had another thought.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's okay. Sorry. I never know when to come in. General Docs was like very obviously moved by B-15's words, and she like always had it in her, the willingness to sacrifice herself for the TVA, even if it ended up being pointless. But yeah, I think that it's really cool that B-15 is basically our, you know, the power of the people is our, you know, worker here making the most change, moving the
talking person to person, and yeah,
like moving the people who are in charge, trying to make the waves to do it, even if it's kind of meaningless in the end.
Yep. Again, we have Timely, Casey, and Ouroboros working on the expander, the loom expander.
Le Lumen Spander.
It's so painful to watch.
It really is, actually,
like, because it feels slow, and I know that this is purposeful, but it just felt like everything in this episode dragged because of it just felt like everything was wasted, and Sylvie pointing it out makes it more recognizable.
I got to halfway through and I checked the time and I was like, we still have half an hour?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Like, on the second rewatch, it's so bad. Like, you get to the scene where Miss Minutes and like everyone, like, Docs dies, and then B-15 comes in and is like, what? And you're just like, this should be the end of the episode. What else could possibly happen?
Yeah.
Why is it so slow? The pacing is just brutal, and it's such an intentional choice and so interesting, like, to watch.
Timely becomes fascinated with the cocoa that Mobius is drinking, which is like, it's like another like weird delay.
Yeah.
You know, like, and he goes with
I love when hot
D90.
cocoa I love when hot cocoa is a means for plot.
Well, I love the hot fresh coffee machine. There used to be one of these in the pool in my hometown. So like in the lobby, you could get like soup, coffee, hot chocolate, tea. Like you could get all of those.
Weird.
And it wasn't like retro like this. It was a little bit more advanced, but these things like did exist. My question for you is, like, is it his interest in technology? Is he distracted? Is it just they needed a plot device to get him away from them?
Can it be all of them?
I mean, maybe. I feel like it was in character that he would be like, yes, hot cocoa. Yes, I love this technology. I think
he's just genuinely... We observe with the chair that he likes practical inventions.
Right.
He likes inventions that make sense and things that are functionally useful to a lot of people. Like the refrigerator chair. Oh, it's so useful. I can get my brewski right here instead of going over to the fridge, right? And the idea of, a machine that will give me hot cocoa and I have to do no work. That's so
would be fascinating.
That's so him. Fascinating. That's
absolutely.
So interesting.
I think it works. It fits the brief, but it
feels weird a little bit in the story. So I do think it is technically a plot device.
Yeah.
But it does make sense.
Okay. They use the hot cocoa falling on the ground like spilled blood.
I love me a good object shot.
It was great. I focused in on this for the slide because I was like, this is a beautiful moment where he got pruned and D90 RIP.
Oh dude. No, he's not dead. He's just at the end of time.
Just at the end of time. It's fine. You could go get him. Sylvie could go get everybody.
I'm so excited for Renslayer to be at the end of time.
Oh, right. Her and D90 are there.
You know, she's going to be caught with all of the 200 Loki. Oh my god, we're going to get Gator Loki.
Yeah, maybe.
I believe. Gator Loki.
Yep, maybe. B-15 tells everybody that Docs and her team are dead. They found out that Miss Minutes had been shutting down communications and messing with everything. And so they all decide to hoof it and try and find timely.
Quote unquote, hoof it.
Everything takes forever. Everything takes forever. Obviously, the loom is not handling the...
not handling this well, bro.
Yeah, it's not handling anything. It's not even weaving. It's not doing anything it's supposed to be doing right now.
It's just like a ball of sun at this point. Also, her fixing this elevator takes forever.
Yeah. So they get separated and she ends up like working on the elevator, which is really cool. But
she
then
definitely hotwired a car.
Yeah, more than once. But we are back to episode 1.
Yeah, we get the sequence again with context this time.
And Loki is our past Loki. There's definitely some really cool...
I love that outfit again.
Oh,
it's so good.
Oh yeah, I love it. And he's looking at his sort of like pocket watch, telling him what it, and it's literally the scenes from episode 1. So it's really great. But now we get it from our Loki's perspective, where he ends up having to kill himself. Essentially, symbolically, he has to kill himself in the middle to be with Sylvie.
What are your thoughts on that from a, symbolic perspective? Perhaps it's something in relation to his own growth and development? Shrug.
Yes. So in the lowest part of your journey, you have to die to be reborn.
Woo!
And the Ouroboros is the...
Is that some hero's journey stuff?
Yes. The Ouroboros is the symbol of alchemical union, which the past you has to die so that you can be connected and joined with your opposite.
Also reborn.
And be reborn. Exactly. And so he kills himself and is once again reunited with Sylvie. And they're finally on the same page.
Sylvie's like so happy to see him too. Oh, I'm so happy you're here. Wait, what?
What is going on? I promise everything will make sense in the future. And they pick up the phone.
OB is calling.
OB is calling. It was OB the whole time. The Ouroboros,
which is interesting.
The symbol of alchemical union, was calling them
yes.
and brought them together through the death of his former self. All right, we get you. We get you, writers. We're here. We're on the same page. Okay.
Same page.
So they decide to reboot the whole system,
which is a smart choice.
And Miss Minutes is like, I'm being locked out.
And they give the magic users magic.
They're finally gods again. And
Woo!
She has this amazing moment talking with Timely, and she's like, Victor, I need to tell you something. You will never be him. Brutal. And she looks like a zombie. And she's standing in the middle between the victors and this shot.
That's really cool.
Was so cool. And she looks like degraded and zombie like.
My favorite thing is when she turns into a chess clock.
Oh yeah, when she turns into the chess clock. Yeah.
Would you like to play some chess?
Yep. Everything seems to be moving a little bit faster now. Sylvie has her magic, and so she takes over Brad's brain. And Brad prunes.
It might be Loki. I don't know which one of them.
No, it was Sylvie who came up. But that's like an enchantress thing. So
I mean, Loki could definitely do that if you wanted to.
Oh, absolutely. He tends to lean more into visual tricks, though, than actual mind control. Yeah,
he likes his magic.
Brad prunes Renslayer, and they all so there's Brad just hanging out now, confused about what was happening. Yeah. And they all rush to the spaghettification room.
It takes so long.
Rush, I say rush, but I really don't mean it. It feels like everything takes forever. They use He Who Remains' aura to open up the blast doors, which is really great. Oh, man. And Loki says, I'll do it. I'll put on the suit. So he's trying to claim like this leadership, king rule.
Yes, you deserve it, King.
And
Victor's reasoning here is so bad, but okay.
Timely's like, well, you don't know how this works. If something goes wrong, like I'm the only one who can fix it. And so he goes and gets on the suit. Again, these things take forever. Like it just feels slow and
out.
painful. And I was really interested in this moment because oftentimes when you have like the damaged institutions, it takes like a redemptive moment from like either like you put the bad person in jail or the bad person makes amends, right? And he is certainly trying to make amends for the bad things that have happened by putting himself on the line for this. But
I feel like when we've witnessed Loki do that, it's never really worked out.
Yeah, like, for all time, always above this moment as he's like, and he gets spaghettified.
That's a horrible photo. Why would you?
Okay, I'll move fast quickly. But you get the reactions when people are like, wait a second, this didn't work.
What the shit?
Oh no, this didn't work. I just said like timely spaghettifies.
I said spaghettification is so gnarly. Ugh.
Yeah. and we see the timeline start to explode. and like we don't know how. Okay, but Loki and Sylvie have their magic, so my hope is there's some sort of resolution but there's nobody else that's bad really remaining. So I don't know what's gonna happen. I literally
We've got
don't.
2 more episodes, so
yeah. But just as a reminder, like you have to die to be reborn, and so that's like from Sylvie's perspective, it's really, really important that they have this death and rebirth. Yes.
I also feel like this parallels really well to the first season when they get sent to like the end of time,
right?
And that's kind of a death, right?
Yeah.
And now, the timelines are exploding. We have people actually, people we're following, like Renslayer, at the end of time. So we're clearly going to get an end of time, like flashback-ish. I just need to know, like, what are we going to do? What's happening? Do you have any theories, Mom?
I feel like it's probably going to be some sort of combination of the fact that now Loki and Sylvie have their magic. Them together is ultra powerful, and they're probably going to have to...
Is this the last season of Loki?
I think so. I think it was only planning to be 2 seasons, and then they continue on like the MCU
Mobius in a movie.
That would be great, hey?
I want... dude, if they
Owen
stop...
Wilson?
Wow. If they stop using Owen Wilson after this, I'm going to cry.
No, I'm pretty sure he'd be up for it. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
Do I have any theories? I do think that the key is going to be Loki and Sylvie holding hands, using their magic together, being gods.
The key is everyone working together in union. Oh, yeah. Mobius, figure your stuff out. If he doesn't figure things out in these last 2 episodes, I'm gonna punch a wall.
I want him riding a jet ski.
I do too. I want him to find his place in the timeline and be a happy little chap.
Be a happy little... I ship him in happiness.
I ship him in jet skis and him and Loki and Sylvie. I'm a poly shipper. I don't associate with this monogamy thing.
You're like, a polycule would solve all of these things.
It would solve all my problems.
You're so funny.
Wow. Polycule. Wow.
Wow. Loki.
Wow. Wow.
This is our terrible Owen Wilson impressions at the end of the episode. What is happening? Wow.
You know what? This is what they signed up on your Patreon for.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
If you could have titled this episode, I would have titled it. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
What are your thoughts? How do you think they're gonna save the day?
Oh,
I
think
the death has to happen because then they can, rebirth the universe in a new way.
Yeah. I think there will be magic. There will be magic. Loki and Sylvie will probably work together, like similar to what we saw in episode 2. They were like
holding the hands. Yeah.
Don't overthink this, except overthink this.
Symbolically, it's like really cool. Like it's like what you want, right?
They're gonna like work together. Yeah. I think B15 is gonna get more stuff to do.
I hope so, because she's awesome and she deserves more.
Yeah.
More success after her brilliant speeches.
Yeah, no. I think B15 is going to become the new like
head of the TVA.
Maybe not a TVA, maybe something new. Like B15 is going to spearhead a new operation because that's what I see in her future.
Do you think that the TVA needs a new, like, I think the TVA as an acronym is an awesome, but it shouldn't be variance authority. It should be like
time variable,
not authority, but like
assurance
or like it needs a new name. You got to rebrand here, TVA.
Yeah, like
maybe not orange.
I like orange. It's a good color.
Fine.
I think with the way that Marvel likes to tie things up in a nice little neat bow, to some degree, I feel like B15 will be in charge of stuff. And I feel like honestly all variant, like we were literally hinted at, like Renslayer was like, if you join me, you'll have a place on the timeline, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that all variants that are already working there will have the ability to also have a life on the timeline if they want it, you know?
Like be reborn on the timeline and actually live their lives instead of being taken out.
Like maybe if you're like, you know, I don't know what'll happen, but I think that there's like lots of ways that this could go.
This surprised me, by the way. The end, like I was like,
Did you think it was gonna work out?
The spaghettification and the ending of like the timelines exploding. I was like, oh my god. And you know, like Kyle, we talk about the episode after we watch it, and he was like, you know, sometimes the heroes gotta fail, right?
Yeah.
So that they can come back and win.
I'm kind of honestly surprised you didn't predict this because like the death rebirth stuff is like your thing.
I just didn't like watching the episode, it felt purposeful that everything was slowing down, but I didn't know what it meant. And a lot of the time, like I'm just in the moment when I'm watching too. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that there's like a big, you know, theme of you're too late in Loki. At times, like this decision, well, you should have made that sooner, or you should have done this sooner, because you can't go back. You can't change your fate.
Mm-hmm.
Like even with all power of time and space, like you can't change your fate. You have only the moment's decision, and if you try to change it, you're too late.
You can only go forward.
You may only go forward.
Well, time being a circle means to me that they're probably going to reset it, and every timeline is going to be allowed. Going forward.
Maybe. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. Well, then you know we get Metakang.
Yep.
Metakang.
Yeah, you know, Jonathan Majors is in serious like trouble in real life, and so I don't know if they're making the decision to remove that story.
Bye, Kang.
Yeah, who knows, right? Like I don't know. It's hard to tell what they're gonna do. Yeah.
I feel interested, intrigued, ready for next week. Excellent.
I am too. Well, Robin, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
This was good. I love this episode. It's fun. It's hard.
It was a hard episode.
Well, you find it hard. I found it fun. I love the character. I love the character growth. I love the symbolism. I think that's all for me, though. How about you, Mom?
I think that's everything from me. It's a hard episode for me, but I love talking about the show with you.
Good. I'm better than Dad.
All right. Take care, everyone. On to the next episode next week, and we will be back with more high tea, low key. Cheers.
On the edge of a dream, watching time.